नमस्कार दोस्तों, मैं हूं आपका साथी जेमी ऑल्टर। आई होप यूर ऑल वेल। आज के ऑल्टर्ड स्टेट सीजन 2 के एपिसोड में मेरे साथ जुड़े हैं एक मल्टी फैसेटेड इंडिविजुअल। वो एक डायरेक्टर, स्क्रीन राइटर और रिलक्टेंट एक्टर हैं, जिन्होंने पुणे के प्रेस्टिजियस फिल्म एंड टेलीविजन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ इंडिया से डायरेक्शन और स्क्रीन प्ले राइटिंग में डिप्लोमा हासिल किया है और जिनके शॉर्ट फिल्म्स इंडिया और देश के बाहर में कई फेस्टिवल्स में दिखाए गए हैं। हाल ही में इनकी पहली वेब सीरीज रिलीज हुई Amazon प्राइम वीडियो पर, द सुपरनैचुरल क्राइम ड्रामा द लास्ट आवर, जिसमें ये संजय कपूर के सामने दिखे एज द लीड एक्टर। इट इज माय प्लेजर टू वेलकम ऑन द शो टुडे कर्मा तकापा। Karma, thank you for taking our time. Hope you're doing well in Gang Talk.
I'm okay. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Weather must be slightly cooler there as compared to where I am.
I'm sure it is. It's been raining for quite some time now. So
Rain?
but the weather's much better. I can't complain.
That's a good thing to say in 2021, man, given all the time.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, look, congrats on the last hour. It's got a lot of good reviews, good response. What kind of personal feedback have you gotten?
I guess most of the time when you get personal feedback, it's good only, right? I mean, there are very few people who call you up and tell you did a shit job. So, but yeah, I guess friends and family, they call up, they're encouraging words, very happy with what they are seeing. Not, it's something that they haven't expected out of somebody like me. So, but yeah. So yeah, encouraging responses, I guess. Yeah, so far.
तो क्योंकि हम पत्रकार हैं, तो आप पे हमने थोड़ी रिसर्च की है। सूत्रों के अनुसार, you studied at IIMC Delhi. You studied print journalism, I believe.
Yes, I did.
And sometimes you were seen on the IIMC lawns playing cricket, opening the batsman. You're a left-handed batsman.
I am. Let me just correct that. I'm an enthusiastic cricketer.
As we all are.
My batting skills are not all that great though. Yeah.
Super. Then after graduation from IIMC with your diploma, you had a brief stint as an online journalist with the Indian Express. वहाँ पे कुछ खास मजा नहीं आया, and then you took the decision to go to FTII in Pune.
Yes.
What was that like? The time at FTII?
Life changing, yeah, for me. It was truly life changing for me. I honestly wasn't like, let's say I wasn't like literally focused on being in FTI for the longest period of time, but I felt like I wanted to do something with respect to films, and FTI was something which was within the periphery of what I understood with filmmaking, and I knew that I had to go to a film school. And so while I was at Indian Express, after my short stint there, I got kind of how should I say? I got disillusioned a bit in terms of what I was doing. So, and that's when I thought that I'll just give it a shot. Let's see if it works out. So I went and filled up my form for the FTI, and I didn't tell anybody though that I was filling it up for. So I was just quietly trying to just make sure that nobody knows that I didn't get through. So so that happened, and then I don't know how I got through. I did get through though. So being in FTI, I guess today, whatever I do as a filmmaker, whatever I understand a little bit about films, or whatever little involvement I have with films, it's completely because of FTI. I can't. I think the entire credit for that goes to FTI.
And Karma, I can imagine at FTI you would have been exposed to a world of different kind of cinemas. You studied direction and screenplay writing, I believe. When you graduated, you're just out of FTI. You had a brief experience in the media line. What kind of films were you looking to make? Did you have a clear कि मैं यही तरह के film बनाऊंगा?
Not in terms of what kind of films, but I knew what kind of films that I was interested in watching. Most importantly, but the tastes it keeps evolving with what you see. Like it keeps changing with what you see, and I think. Once you have studied films and you've gone to film school, you're looking at films from a perspective which is, I think you divide your perspectives into different ways. Like sometimes you watch films because it's a learning process. because you're a filmmaker yourself, so you're learning from a lot of films. And sometimes you watch films that, like, you just want to just sit back and, like, just chill and watch a movie, which are two different kind of films.
Sure.
So I don't think that I had a definite idea that this is the kind of movie that or film that I wanted to make. But what I did know is that I wanted to at some point try and make films back at home, which is in Sikkim, and that was one of the that was one of my prerogatives for once I came out of the institute, and try and see what I can do with that. So that has been the attempt, and it's still the attempt to try and do more in this kind of space.
And you made a range of films. I know some have gone to film festivals. You made a Chhattisgarh film called More Man Ke around in 2015, I believe. And then, of course, you made Run Along Road, which you wrote and you also directed. So I wanna, because I've spoken to others who are sort of in the same shoes as you. When your films are going on the festival circuit, India ke andar, India ke bahar, that's also a range of emotions. Because to get your film there, you've obviously gone through a lot of hardships, and you go to a festival with certain hopes and aspirations. If you could pick out one positive aspect and one negative aspect, just from the times when you were taking these two films on the festival circuit.
You get more eyeballs, you get more people watching. At the end of the day, you make films to hope that people from all different backgrounds, or different, for the matter, different countries, different mindsets, perspectives, they watch your film, they talk about your film, they want to discuss what you're trying to do, what you're getting at, things like that. They take you seriously, as a filmmaker, and it's quite it feels really great when that happens. The downside of it is that, irrespective of, no matter how many film festivals you go to, it does not do anything for let's say the financial aspect of making a film, which is again a different beast altogether. That plays out differently. So yeah, as much as going to festival with all the prestige that comes along with it, and everything that you enjoy with having to showcase the films that you have done with your team, it does not guarantee you anything vis-a-vis your funding for the next film. So I guess the struggle is always that, as an independent filmmaker, and for most filmmakers for that matter, to make things that they want to make the way they would want to make it, and also hope that it gets backed and financed like the way they want it to be, and also gets put out in a way that maximum people can watch it. I mean, that's right now that just happens for a few people.
Very interesting, which also now brings me into you actually not being an actor as such. You graduated with a diploma in directing and screenplay, but now we find you as the lead in a successful Amazon show. So पहली बार जब the director Amit Kumar, when he called you up and said, I want you to play this role, what was your first reaction?
I initially just said no.
Really?
I was very reluctant. I said no. I was quite firm on the no, actually, to start off.
Okay, interesting.
But what happens is that, see, it's kind of funny, because my first instinct was instantly no. Because when he gave me a call and said, like, what, are you interested in something of this sort and all that, I said no. And then he said, why? Because I said, because I'm not an actor. I've never thought about myself as an actor. I've never acted before. I've done bits and pieces here in the institute, so you've probably done a little bit here and there, but never thought of it like that. So then he said, like, come on, come to my office, let's talk about films. And he's from FTII also, so he was here. So he played that card on me. He said, why don't you come to my office? We'll have a chat. We'll talk about films. Let's see what you're up to now. What are you making? I want to see what you're making. I want to talk about what you're making. All of this stuff. So I went to his office next day, and we had this chat. We spoke for, I think, an hour or so. And then after that, by the end of the conversation, he was like, "Yaar, ek baar audition de dena yaar. Ek baar de de. Dekh le kya hota hai." So then I was like, "Fine, I'll give it." I was like, I really didn't think that they would want me to do it at the end of the day. I was like, by the time it goes into Amazon, and like when the financials come into the picture, and then they see there's this guy who, we don't even know, he's not an actor, we've never seen him before, all of those kind of things, So I really didn't think there was much of a chance that they would get it. But Amit was quite persistent with it, and he managed to pull it off. So it was quite a feat, actually. I think it's quite a feat, because being a filmmaker, I understand how hard it must have been to cast a non-actor, or for that matter, an unknown actor in a show like this.
I like your honesty. But you tell me one thing: is it perhaps easier to act after you've been a director, because you understand the requirements, you understand where the lens is? Because when you're acting, the lens it's all about that. The lens getting you your space so that you can perform. Did it help perhaps that you've been a director?
I mean, it helps, but it also comes with a lot of baggage, And I don't know whether it's a good thing or a not so good thing. Because I think if you pick up a rank non-actor, because I've worked a few non-actors with the films that I've done, and when you pick up a rank non-actors, it helps that there is a certain level of innocence towards the craft.
Sure.
And with me coming on board, I didn't have that innocence. Obviously, I knew what the craft of filmmaking. I had an understanding of it, at least as a filmmaker. So yes, I don't know how much it helps, because acting is a different. It's a different ball game altogether. I mean, and especially when you're not trained for it, it's something, and it helps the fact that you know the technical aspect of it, from the lensing to the blocking to the stuff like that. I think it helps the director that, when he tells you something, and there are times when you know exactly what the director is saying, but you can't do it. So it's I think it's where that's where I feel that acting as a craft is such a practiced, and it's a practiced craft, just like filmmaking is. And like when somebody says, oh, you become an actor, I'm like, no, I have acted in this show. Becoming an actor is a larger process which happens over a period of time, which is not as simplistic as saying that, oh, you know what, you got cast. I got cast because it was the requirement of the show. It was the requirement of the script for somebody to look in a certain kind of a manner. That does not make me an actor. I mean, I've acted in it. I don't know whether that makes sense in terms of the distinction.
No, I just, what you're saying, I mean, I'll bring it to myself. What you're saying is like 99% what I went through about 2 years ago when I got a call to act in a very small role in an Amazon show, for the same reasons, Karma, that yours. I had the look, and the character could have only been played by me. But I said, I'm a sports journalist, and I'm like, no, but we want you. So all that thing, but again, I didn't have your sense of the camera technical. So I was all over the place. But then again, in the end, work, like I was like, acha, I've been on many films, sab pata hai mere ko. But no, like you said, it is a craft and a process which you might think, Are main karunga, or you might think I'm gonna crap my pants. But both are off because you need to do same thing like you're saying, ab aur karenge. Maybe, but it's such a nuanced craft.
And also, unlike theater, this is not an actor's medium; it's a director's medium at the end of the day, right? So you might be the most amazing of actors, but if you get a shit, I'm sorry for the language, but if you get a not so good director who's kind of confused with what he wants to do, then irrespective of how good an actor you are, it won't help. That's why we see a lot of very good actors who we consider very good are amazing in a film, and then you suddenly see a film and you're like, that really didn't add up over there. So, I mean, it's a director's medium at the end of the day. So, and unlike theater, where the actor takes complete control of things.
Absolutely, and various different dynamics. So, you're shooting for this Amazon show. Can you remember, like, what was the hardest scene for you in the shoot?
I mean, I think to start off with, it was very hard, to be honest. Because I still could not wrap my head around the fact that I was on a set and I was an actor and not directing. Like, it's just, I think it's one of those mechanisms inside you that does not allow you to think in that kind of a manner, because you're so used to thinking differently, So I was concerned with a lot of things that had got nothing to do with being an actor. Like, I was like, yaar, light ja rahi hai, jaldi shoot karo. I mean, like, I'm thinking in that sort of sense, like, itne shots lene hain aaj, yaar, ye nahi ho paya hai. That sort of thing, which I was dealing with those shit. And then after a few days, I'm like, that's really not my business, And I think after post that, I was like a little more calmer. And of course, it doesn't get any easier, but you get more comfortable. You get a little more comfortable with the process. And that's what happened. I got a little more comfortable with the process, but that doesn't mean that it got any easier, or for that matter, I was any better.
You had obviously the opportunity to work with someone like Sanjay Kapoor. I think वो लगभग 30 साल से वो acting कर रहे हैं. Comes from a film family, but it's a like for you, it's a unique role for him as well. He hasn't played any such role, definitely not in the OTT space as well as in films. What was it like? Obviously sharing space, but even when you're off, it's an outdoor location, which are a whole different can of worms. What was it like acting and also interacting with someone like him?
I mean, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, Sanjay is a lot of fun. I mean, I don't know how he comes across in public. I guess he comes across as a lot of fun also, but I don't know. I mean, he's a
He
lot
does. He
of
does.
fun. Yeah, he's a lot of fun. He's got a great sense of humor. Like he can really make you laugh. Very generous, and he didn't come in with an air of being a star or somebody who's done it for X amount of years. You know, he came in with the innocence of wanting to do the best that he can for the show and for himself also, which I think in the end it works in an environment like that, you know. So he never played that. He never played it like as if he was more experienced or better or all of those things, you know. So yeah, a total pleasure, a complete pleasure to be part of a show and to work opposite him. And yeah, great times we had. Yeah, so great memories.
And it showed on screen because you two are the most pivotal characters both in the sense of the script and the plot, but also screen time. So a certain jugalbandi was, if that's a word I could use, was sort of required, and I think it came off well. Overall, I like the show. Because we got to see a part of India which has not often been shown, at least on the Hindi mainstream, as well as the subject. I mean, a lot of cop shows, a lot of murder mystery shows, but not necessarily anything that I can remember which has that supernatural edge. But also, I think for me, more than all that, the fact that we got to see characters from the Northeast not playing walk-on roles, not playing cliched roles. These are a range of meaty roles. Yourself aside, what do you think a show like this could perhaps do for cinema of Sikkim, of the Northeast?
I mean, I think initially when like I said, going back to what you had asked me earlier, like when Amit actually asked me to do it, I think when I actually landed up saying yes for it, and when I actually wrapped my head around the fact that I was taking a plunge in terms of like I'm really awkward in front of camera in life, like in life. I'm a little awkward. And but the fact that this is a show that was coming out from the Northeast, wanting to base itself from that space and coming out with characters that are going to be very integral and very important characters that are going to come out in the show like this, I think it all added up to me thinking that this is going to be quite interesting, irrespective of where I stand post this, because that is not what I was thinking. But I think it was more important for me that it was coming out, and it was something that hadn't been done. So it was very interesting to be a part of this. Where this goes from this point on, I guess it's something that we can't predict. I mean, I think the important thing is that we have to have more people wanting to invest in films that are coming out of the Northeast, which is the most important part, because it's a very expensive medium, like we all know. And it requires people to financially back projects that are coming out of the Northeast or has stories that are based out of the Northeast, and also are ready to cast people, that who are genuinely from the Northeast, and who may not so-called be your stars, or who may not be able to give you that level of eyeballs. But it would still give you a level of very strong authenticity and believability in terms of how your narrative is being projected. So I hope that is the important. I think it's a step-by-step process. Like I think it starts off with us hoping that there is more people who are ready to invest in films that are being made in the Northeast. And investing it with respect to keeping being honest to the integrity of casting and the space and narrative and stuff like that. And also, hopefully, moving down the line, hopefully more people watch it. And with a show like Last Hour, because it came on Amazon, so many people watched it. Like if it was in any other platform, probably not as many people would have watched it. So I think that also helps. The fact that where it's put on what platform, and all of those things put together, hopefully people will see that there is more viability in terms of the financials also. Because at the end of the day, that's what filmmaking unfortunately is about, the financial aspect of it. So people see the viability of it and then are able to take the plunge and do more stuff over there, because I think there's a lot of potential. Not because I come from the space, but because if you see, a lot of people have been telling me about how they appreciated the kind of casting that came in and how it was different in terms of how it looked, in terms of the cast, so it shows that people are interested in watching it. It shows that people are interested in seeing things that deal with that level of authenticity, even if it is just with the casting. So I guess we can move on from here, have more films, more shows that play out from this space. I hope that happens. I mean,
No, we absolutely hope that too. So you mentioned about how you were awkwardness, and you know how you are in front of the camera, as well as the fact that this is a big platform like Amazon. Were you also perhaps just going over what you just said? Were you consciously aware of perhaps you could be the face of acting or cinema from the Northeast, just given that this was Amazon Prime? If
No,
that
yeah.
makes sense at all.
I mean,
You know what
like,
I'm
I never
saying?
thought of. I mean, like, I think there are better faces that can be the face of the place.
Sure,
I'm just
sure,
joking.
sure. But
No,
the fact that
but
you're the lead
yeah.
in an Amazon show,
I mean,
I
I
think
no, no.
doors have to be opened
That
up.
I agree. Yeah. I had a sense that, like, the a very strong USP of the show would be about the fact that there are faces that are coming from the particular space. But I didn't look at myself per se in that manner, because I don't think that I was thinking that far ahead. Because I was more worried about what I was doing then. Because at every given shot, I was trying to justify the director's decision to cast me.
Gosh. Okay,
And
okay.
and you don't want to let your director down. He's stuck his neck out for you. He's cast in this kind of manner. And you don't want to be a disaster. And hopefully you don't come across as one. And I think that's the more important thing, that you work for that moment, and whatever happens later is technically not in your control. Whether good things happen or nothing else happens, it doesn't work out. Of course, you wish that you had done so many things differently and things like that.
Sure,
But that
sure.
is all in retrospect. So that is something that we'll always have when we make films. But yeah, for me, it was more about, like, just being able to be as honest as possible to the moment, and being able to justify the vision that the director has, and just being like, just being that person that the director says, I want this, and to be able to deliver that. So yeah, I guess that was my main focus on face and all that. I don't know. Yeah, that
Okay.
I didn't think about that. I mean, because considering that it's a show like that, I knew that it'll grab eyeballs. Considering that it's
Sure.
from a particular space, I would be. I'll probably not be honest enough if I don't say that. But I don't think that was something that plays on the back of your head. I think it's more about just trying to make sure that you do the best that you possibly can at that point of time, and hope that it works out for the person who stuck his neck out for you.
No, it worked out. At least from a viewer's perspective, it was wholly convincing. One final question before I let you go. What kind of projects do you have lined up? Do you have your own movies ready? Or are they in the pipeline? Any more acting offers? What's happening with you?
Yeah, I am working. I'm on the post production of a film that I've directed.
Okay.
It's hopefully, I'm like, with the pandemic right now, with the studio shut, so it's just taking a bit of time. So I hopefully should be through with it in a few months. I hope, and then we'll see how that goes with that. As far as acting is concerned, I've not really thought about it.
Mm.
To be honest, I'm still not sure if I want to give it another go. Let's see how that goes. I'm not too sure. See, I think it's also important that because we are functioning in a very niche casting. Like, when you spoke about your casting, and
Yeah.
when people like
Correct.
your casting, and you need the script to be in a certain kind of a way in order not to be just a placeholder.
Hmm.
And you feel that you want to have something more substantial, and hopefully something you can pull off also, but something more substantial, not just for me, but I hope in general, actually something more substantial happens to every other person that comes from the Northeast, because it gives more representation. It's better for the larger viewing experience,
Correct.
for people also to watch. It's more, because as a viewer, you also want to see at least that level of authenticity maintained, and you appreciate that, at least, if not anything else. So I guess I hope that turns out. As far as acting for me is concerned, not thought much about it. I've not had, actually, haven't had anybody ask me about it also. But yeah,
Hoga, hoga.
have not thought much about it.
Super, super. Well, Karma, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And
Pleasure.
again, thank you for your time. Stay safe during this pandemic. Hopefully, अच्छे दिन
Thank you.
वाकई में आएंगे. So
I'm sure. I hope to meet you in person, and this is an absolute pleasure. Yeah. Thank you
thank
so much, Jamie, for having me.